American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
What happens when a formidable navy becomes the prey instead of the predator? The Gulf War's Bubiyan Island encounter is a chilling example. In hours, Iraq's once proud fleet was reduced to wreckage. It was caught in a deadly ambush that would change naval history forever. This was more than a battle. It was a trap, a turkey shoot, that systematically destroyed Iraqi forces. Let's uncover the secret trap that annihilated Iraq's entire navy, Bubiyan Island. A heavy silence enveloped Bubiyan Island. It was broken only by the distant roar of engines and the rhythmic splashes of waves against the hulls of warships. The air crackled with tension, hinting at the impending storm that would soon erupt upon these waters. Sailors aboard various vessels exchanged nervous glances, aware that they were on the edge of a dramatic naval showdown. In this strategic corner of the world, calm seas could turn chaotic. A clash was about to happen that would change modern naval warfare. The term turkey shoot hung unfavorably in the air like a dark cloud. This wasn't just a casual phrase, it signaled an ambush. One side would win, while the other would be destroyed. For the Iraqi Navy, this terminology served as a grim warning of doom. The idea that their fleet could be systematically hunted down by superior forces sent shivers down spines across their ranks. As tensions rose before Operation Desert Storm, Iraqi officers grew uneasy. While pondering their fate, they became aware of Bubiyan Island's strategic location at the northern edge of Kuwait, which acts as a gateway to the Persian Gulf. Its proximity to key maritime routes made it an essential point in naval battles. The waters surrounding it became a chessboard where lives would be lost and fortunes decided within moments. Captains and admirals huddled over maps and strategies, trying to outmaneuver each other in a deadly game. The Iraqi Navy faced a tough situation before the showdown. It had suffered major setbacks since its start. Their dreams of becoming a powerful maritime force had been curtailed by years of conflict and mismanagement. The Navy's fleet was mostly outdated Soviet-era vessels. They had seen better days during the Iran-Iraq War. Then, they were tasked with defending Iraq's shores against Iranian advances. These ships had once held promise. They bristled with Soviet tech. But they were mere shadows of what was needed for modern combat. As Iraqi sailors prepared for battle, they must have recalled past encounters. They had taken pride in their naval exploits, but they now faced an enemy far superior in training and technology. The fear resonated deeply within them. Could their ships withstand what loomed ahead? Fleet composition and aspirations. At the core of the Iraqi Navy's goals was a fleet mainly made up of Soviet-era ships. These vessels were bought during the Iran-Iraq War. It was a crucial time when Iraq was trying to boost its navy. The fleet consisted of Al-Basra-class patrol boats, which were equipped with missiles but limited in range and capability. The Coney-class frigates are more advanced. They have air defense systems, but their tech is outdated compared to Western ships. Finally, Tarantul-class fast attack crafts are fast and agile, but they are vulnerable to modern weapons. But these limits became clear when compared to other navies in the region. The US and Allied forces' advanced tech made Iraq's ships outdated before they could be tested in battle. The brutal Iran-Iraq War from 1980 to 1988 showed both the potential and problems of the Iraqi Navy. At first, their naval forces had some successes. They blockaded ports along the Iranian coast. But they also faced major failures. They fought many small battles. Their ships were often outnumbered or outgunned. The Navy failed to keep supply lines and assess threats. This showed a chronic issue, a lack of modern training and resources. As tensions escalated further, it became evident that while aspirations ran high, execution fell woefully short. A prime example came when Iraqi naval forces tried to control the Shatt al-Arab waterway. This led to clashes that would shape future engagements. These confrontations revealed not only tactical weaknesses, but also underscored an inherent vulnerability, a navy reliant on outdated vessels facing an evolving maritime landscape. The Invasion of Kuwait. Saddam Hussein eyed Kuwait, a small yet strategically vital neighbor. The invasion was not merely an act of aggression, it was a calculated move to enhance Iraq's stature on the world stage. Controlling Kuwait meant controlling key maritime routes in the Persian Gulf. This opened doors to oil reserves and a path to regional dominance. Saddam's ambitions were not just about land, they were about power, influence, and the expansion of Iraq's naval capabilities. As he contemplated this bold move, Whispers filled the air about how his military strategy would unfold. Would Iraq finally emerge as a formidable force, or face repercussions that could alter its fate forever? Kuwait's geographic location made it a jewel in the crown of Middle Eastern politics. With its vast oil fields and access to international waters, it represented both wealth and power. For Saddam Hussein, controlling Kuwait was the first step to a grand vision. He wanted a dominant Iraq that could rival Saudi Arabia and Iran. Iraq wanted more than to dominate Kuwait. They sought to access oil, establish naval power in the Gulf, and expand their influence in neighboring countries. The stakes were high, but so were the risks. Saddam believed that a swift military operation could secure Kuwait before the world could react. Little did he know that this decision would ignite one of the most significant conflicts in modern history. With his forces rolling into Kuwait on August 2, 1990, Saddam wasted no time in seizing military assets. Among these were 5 German-built Exocet missiles. They were advanced weapons that bolstered Iraq's naval strategies. These missiles had a fearsome reputation. They could hit distant targets with precision. The Exocets became key to Iraq's navy for a few reasons. They could fly at low altitudes and high speeds. This lets them evade radar. It also boosted precise targeting, designed for striking enemy ships effectively. As Iraqi forces took control of Kuwaiti territory, they didn't just capture land. They also assimilated advanced technology that would boost their navy. Coalition forces assemble. Despite these acquisitions and ambitions, strategic miscalculations marred Saddam's plans. The Iraqi Navy mainly had old Soviet-era ships. They were less capable than Western ones. Even with Exocets at their disposal, the overall effectiveness of Iraq's maritime operations remained questionable. Saddam underestimated the coalition's resolve in response to his actions. Nations worldwide condemned his invasion. They united to restore Kuwait's sovereignty and curb Iraqi aggression. This unity would soon manifest into a formidable coalition force, ready to confront him at sea. As tensions escalated, Saddam's hopes for regional domination began to unravel. The battle lines were being drawn not just over land, but across the waters surrounding Bubiyan Island. As international scrutiny grew, his ambitions began to crack. Was this gamble worth taking? The stakes became alarmingly clear. Iraq's aggressive actions weren't just a local problem, they were a threat to global peace and order. The coalition forces, a powerful alliance of countries, were ready to face this challenge. This wasn't just about military might. It was a message that such behavior wouldn't be tolerated. A diverse group of nations came together with a shared goal: to stop Saddam Hussein's ambitions. The coalition included the United States and the United Kingdom. The US led the charge with unmatched naval and air power. The UK brought experience and strong maritime capabilities. Others were France, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Canada. Each nation added its strengths to this multifaceted force. It created a strong framework to counter Iraq's military might. The coalition strategy had key principles. They aimed to cripple Iraq's war capabilities. Control of the skies was paramount. Airstrikes aimed to destroy Iraqi defenses. They wanted to prevent any naval response in the battle at Bubiyan Island. Also, a blockade sought to cut off Iraqi supply lines. It aimed to starve their navy of resources and reinforcements. Intelligence was also crucial for planning operations. Satellites and reconnaissance missions provided critical information about Iraqi naval activities. These strategies led to Operation Desert Storm. It was a military campaign that would mark history. On January 17, 1991, coalition forces began intense air attacks on Iraqi targets. This was the start of Operation Desert Storm. It began with precise bombings on military bases, air defenses, and ships along the coast. The goal was simple: disable Iraq's ability to fight back before they could organize a defense. In these early hours, the coalition's overwhelming firepower reshaped the battlefield. While land forces prepared for ground assaults, naval units were poised to engage directly with Iraq's maritime assets. The focus shifted to boosting naval power in the Gulf. U.S. Navy aircraft carriers, as floating air bases, launched sorties against Iraqi vessels. Advanced warships equipped with missiles patrolled vital shipping lanes, ready for combat. With every passing hour, anticipation grew on both sides. For Iraq, it was a desperate fight for survival. For the coalition, it symbolized justice against tyranny, unity against aggression. The coalition's commitment to uphold international law resonated deeply across borders. Longtime rivals united under one banner. It was an extraordinary sight. It showed the world's resolve against tyranny. As preparations continued behind the scenes leading into January 1991, all eyes were focused on Bubiyan Island, the stage set for an encounter unlike any other in modern warfare history. With tensions simmering like a pot ready to boil over, each member of this international alliance braced for what lay ahead. They did not know their efforts would soon lead to the Battle of Bubiyan Island. It was an ambush that ended Iraq's entire navy. The tension in the air was palpable as dawn broke on January 29, 1991. The Gulf waters shimmered under the early morning sun, a deceptive calm before the storm that would soon engulf the region. U.S. forces, poised for action, prepared to confront an Iraqi navy that was woefully unprepared for what lay ahead. This clash would soon become a decisive naval battle in modern warfare. It would be known forever as the Battle of Bubiyan Island. As Operation Desert Storm began, General Norman Schwarzkopf ordered a preemptive strike at sea. Reports said Iraqi naval forces were trying to regroup and strengthen defenses around Bubiyan Island. At about 6 a.m., U.S. naval aircraft took to the skies. FA-18 Hornets roared overhead. Their mission was clear: destroy the enemy fleet before it could resist. The first targets were coastal defense vessels, the heart of Iraq's naval capabilities. 30 minutes later, as missiles streaked across the sky, explosions rocked the Iraqi fleet. Ships like Al-Basra and Al-Mutasim Billah, once proud symbols of the sea, were now burning hulks floating helplessly in the Gulf. Iraqi commanders scrambled to mobilize their fleet in response to the attack. Radio orders echoed as sailors rushed to man their stations aboard aging Soviet-era warships. As Iraqi forces tried to counterattack with missile boats, U.S. aircraft struck them with precision. The infamous Exocet missiles were once Iraq's prized assets. However, they were ineffective against superior tactics and technology. The battle evolved rapidly, with each moment critical to its outcome. At about 7:45 a.m., Iraqi crews faced a grim reality. Their vessels were sinking, and morale was plummeting. Orders from Saddam Hussein to retreat only added confusion. How could they abandon the ship when it was sinking beneath them? By this time, U.S. forces had established air superiority over Bubiyan Island. Unlike their adversaries, American pilots operated with precision and coordination. They executed bombing runs targeting key vessels with remarkable efficiency. Smoke billowed from damaged ships. Debris littered the water. Panic gripped the remaining Iraqi vessels. Crews jumped into lifeboats or swam for safety as chaos engulfed what was left of Iraq's navy. As darkness fell upon Bubiyan Island, gunfire faded into silence, but it resonated in military history books. It marked January 29th as a key moment in Operation Desert Storm. It was a catastrophic failure for an unprepared navy, caught off guard by superior strategy and technology. The aftermath left Iraq reeling from defeat. It also reshaped naval strategies worldwide. Every sinking ship brought lessons etched in history. They would influence future battles beyond this battle's tumultuous waves. Canadian pilots, take flight CF-18 Hornets, joined the fray at Bubiyan Island. The atmosphere crackled with tension as the clock ticked closer to the showdown at Bubiyan Island. High above the chaotic waters, two skilled Canadian pilots prepared for a mission that would etch their names into history. Captain Steve Hill and Major Dave Kendall strapped into their CF-18 Hornets. They were ready to strike unsuspecting Iraqi vessels. The stakes were monumental, and every second counted. Captain Steve Hill, known as Hillbilly, was a great pilot. He also had an unyielding focus under pressure. His ability to remain calm in the heat of battle was legendary among his peers. On the other hand, Major Dave Kendall brought a wealth of experience and tactical acumen to their joint missions. The pairing of these two pilots was unexpected for Canada's contribution to Operation Desert Storm. Their CF-18 Hornets were equipped with advanced technology that allowed them to engage in combat effectively. These multi-role fighters could do air-to-air and air-to-ground missions. They were versatile tools in the unfolding naval battle. As they soared over Kuwait, Hill and Kendall had a mission: disrupt Iraq's maritime operations and support coalition forces. In the early hours of January 1991, reports indicated a cluster of Iraqi ships maneuvering near Bubiyan Island. It was here that Hill and Kendall would make their mark. The Canadian pilots got precise coordinates of enemy positions. They used them to plan their attacks. Hill's first target was an Iraqi patrol boat patrolling just off the coast. He had a steady hand. He unleashed precision-guided munitions from his CF-18. They struck true and sank the vessel beneath the waves. The image of chaos below was surreal. Smoke billowed into the sky as remnants of what was once a proud naval asset disappeared into oblivion. Kendall's mission was no less daunting. He set his sights on an armed cargo ship that had been identified as crucial for transporting supplies for Saddam Hussein's forces. With unwavering resolve, he hit his target with laser-guided bombs. This showed both skill and a tech edge over Iraq's old planes. The impact of Hill and Kendall's actions rippled far beyond individual ship sinkings. Their strikes greatly disrupted Baghdad's maritime capabilities during this conflict. As coalition forces targeted Iraq's naval assets, news spread fast. The Canadian pilots' interventions were efficient and effective. The momentum shifted to the Allies. It showed that, with precision, a few determined people could win a battle. With each successful mission, Hill and Kendall dismantled Iraq's navy. They also boosted coalition morale. Their contributions showed Canada's commitment to peacekeeping in a volatile region. As dawn broke over Bubiyan Island, Captain Steve Hill and Major Dave Kendall had already changed naval warfare. They did it through their daring exploits against an unprepared enemy. As chaos engulfed Iraqi vessels below, two brave men soared high above. They were symbols of courage amidst the uncertainty. Iraq's desperate move, targeting USS Missouri. The Gulf was filled with desperation. After the disastrous attack at Bubiyan Island, Iraq's navy was on the verge of being wiped out. With their ships destroyed or damaged and morale dropping, Iraqi commanders came up with a daring plan. They believed they could still change the outcome of this naval disaster. Their target, the powerful USS Missouri, was a battleship that represented American naval strength. Amid the chaos, Iraq came up with a counterattack that seemed bold, if not reckless. They aimed to strike back at the powerful U.S. forces by launching an attack on this massive battleship. The plan relied on using their remaining resources, including fast attack boats armed with missiles and whatever was left of their naval fleet. As commanders gathered information, they thought that the USS Missouri was vulnerable during its operations amidst the chaos around Bubiyan Island. With limited options left, they worked frantically to prepare for a last-minute offensive that could potentially restore some dignity for Iraq's struggling navy. On January 25, 1991, under cover of night and hidden by darkness, Iraqi forces launched their assault against the USS Missouri. As they began their operation, tension filled the air. The stakes were high. Failure would seal their fate as one of history's most unfortunate navies. The missile boats surged forward through rough waters toward their target. This move wasn't just strategic, it was also a desperate attempt to instill fear and regain respect. Yet there was something wrong. Confusion spread among Iraqi commanders as conflicting reports about U.S. naval positions circulated. In an environment where split-second decisions mattered most, tactical errors made their situation worse. As Iraqi vessels closed in on the USS Missouri, American forces were ready and waiting. Intelligence had already predicted such a move from Iraq's struggling navy. As Iraqi boats approached, advanced radar systems detected incoming threats. Within moments, U.S. ships returned fire with precision-guided munitions. The night turned chaotic as missiles flew through the air like shooting stars destined for destruction. Iraqi boats began to fall one by one under relentless U.S. firepower. Looking back, this desperate attempt to salvage pride proved disastrous for Iraq's navy. The USS Missouri came out unharmed from this encounter, while its attackers faced complete devastation. This counterattack marked another chapter in Iraq's downward spiral during Operation Desert Storm, marking an increase in losses for the already struggling naval force. The failed strike against one of America's most iconic warships solidified Iraq's status as a weakened maritime force with each sinking vessel. The aftermath of the Bubiyan Turkey Shoot. The chaos that erupted after the Battle of Bubiyan Island left a gaping wound in Iraq's naval ambitions. The dust settled, revealing the Iraqi Navy's fate to be irreparably changed. This was not just a defeat, it was a cataclysm that marked a turning point in modern naval warfare history. The immediate impact includes the loss at Bubiyan destroyed much of Iraq's naval fleet. Reports said many vessels were sunk or inoperable. They left a hollow shell of a once proud maritime force. With its navy decimated, Iraq faced an immediate strategic void. Control over its waters was no longer feasible, resulting in a shift in power dynamics within the Persian Gulf. This vacuum urged not just coalition forces, but also regional foes to rethink their positions. The defeat's effects were long-lasting. It hurt morale beyond the immediate losses. It prompted a re-evaluation of Iraq's military doctrine and maritime strategy. The Iraqi Navy, once dominant in regional waters, was now sidelined. No longer could they envision themselves as players on the high seas. Instead, they were forced into a defensive posture. After their failures, Iraqi military strategists began to study the coalition's tactics used in the battle. Precision strikes with advanced weapons showed gaps in Iraqi defenses. They underscored the need to modernize. The collapse of Iraq's navy taught key lessons for future naval wars. First, intelligence is vital. Coalition forces used superior methods to gather intelligence. They targeted Iraqi vessels effectively. It stressed that any navy must invest in spy and info-sharing systems. The coalition's advanced tech became clear during this conflict. From precision-guided munitions to advanced radar, these elements showed the importance of technology in modern warfare. The coalition partners' teamwork showed that diverse skills can achieve a common goal. This synergy became a blueprint for future military coalitions operating in hostile environments. The Bubiyan ambush's aftermath meant more than the end of Iraq's navy. It marked a shift in naval strategies. Future conflicts would see nations adopt lessons from this engagement. They would focus on asymmetric warfare to counter advanced foes. As navies grew vulnerable to air attacks, the role of air power gained prominence. This led countries to improve their air defenses and integrate air power with their navies. As Iraq struggled with its weak navy, other nations watched. They learned from its mistakes and vulnerabilities. The Battle of Bubiyan Island became more than an isolated event. It became a case study on modern conflicts and military doctrines. It forever changed views on naval battles and their role in warfare. Legacy lives on impact on future naval engagements and military evolution. The Battle of Bubiyan Island was a turning point in naval warfare. It wasn't a loss for Iraq. It was a wake-up call for navies everywhere. Military leaders had to rethink how future sea battles would be fought due to the surprise attack. The battle taught invaluable lessons that reshaped naval doctrines. Key takeaways included: it is vital to control the skies above naval battles. U.S. forces, under General Norman Schwarzkopf, showed that air power could cripple an enemy fleet before any contact. Real-time intelligence and reconnaissance were key to defeating the Iraqi Navy. The integration of advanced technology to check enemy movements became a standard practice. The militaries work together proved that joint operations can create an overwhelming force against a less prepared enemy. This is especially true for air and naval forces. These shifts influenced military training and naval procurement worldwide. The Battle of Bubiyan Island marked a shift in naval warfare. It shifted from direct ship combat to a new approach. Now, precision strike weapons were vital. This development marked a shift to guided missile technology. It would dominate future naval conflicts. Digital communication systems improved battle coordination. They enabled instant responses to evolving threats. The strategic insights gained from this battle reverberated far beyond Iraq's defeat. Nations realized that modern threats needed a new approach to naval warfare. It required both technology and a shift in mindset. Countries scrutinized the Gulf War, extracting lessons from triumphs and setbacks. Military academies began using case studies from this conflict. They stressed the need to identify vulnerabilities before maritime operations. This was critical for nations with ambitions at sea. The coalition's united front against Iraq showed the value of alliances to counter shared threats. The legacy of the Battle of Bubiyan Island is profound. It has changed views on naval warfare. It has given future generations strategies that value agility, tech, and teamwork among allies. As nations face complex geopolitics, they will reflect on a historic ambush. It ended Iraq's navy and reshaped naval warfare worldwide. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.